How do you feel when a global-scale conflict unfolds before our eyes? Russia's invasion of Ukraine is not just a local event. It's an action that echoes across the entire planet, testing alliances, challenging economies, and reshaping the geopolitical landscape. As the world watches, different nations are taking a stand, with some offering open support, while others remain more cautious. In today's video, we'll dive into the international response to this conflict and explore how major powers are reacting to a crisis that promises to shift the global balance of power. If you're interested in gaining a deeper understanding of how this conflict is shaping global politics and the future, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your participation is key to helping us continue bringing relevant and up-to-date content. So stick with us as we explore the unfolding of this global crisis. Topic 1. Reactions from Western powers. When Russia launched its invasion, Western powers, led by the United States and the European Union, were quick to state their positions. The United States, under President Joe Biden, immediately condemned Russia's aggression and announced a massive package of economic sanctions. These sanctions targeted not only key sectors of the Russian economy, such as energy and finance, but also individuals close to the Kremlin. Additionally, the U.S. government began providing military and humanitarian assistance to Ukraine, intensifying pressure on Moscow. Meanwhile, the European Union, which has historically taken a more diplomatic approach, also took a strong stance against the invasion. European leaders quickly implemented sanctions and sought ways to support Ukraine. The crisis has energized the EU's security strategy, leading to increased military cooperation among member states and a re-evaluation of energy policies. The European response shows a growing willingness to engage directly in regional security matters. Beyond economic and political measures, there's also significant symbolic response. Many Western countries have organized protests and demonstrations in support of Ukraine, showing popular solidarity with the Ukrainian cause. This support is not just a gesture, but an attempt to exert moral pressure on Russian leaders, reinforcing the message that the invasion is widely condemned on the international stage. Topic 2. The response from Eastern powers. While the West takes firm action against Russia, Eastern powers have adopted a more complex and varied approach. China, for instance, has been one of the key players in this scenario. Initially, Beijing took a cautious stance, avoiding direct condemnation of Russia, and instead emphasizing the importance of dialogue and peace. However, China has also taken the opportunity to strengthen its economic ties with Russia, particularly in the energy sector. Increased purchases of Russian gas and oil can be seen as a way for Beijing to minimize the impact of Western sanctions and secure its own strategic interests. India, on the other hand, has followed a line of neutrality regarding the invasion. New Delhi has opted not to engage directly with sanctions and has continued its trade relations with Moscow. This position reflects the complexity of Indian foreign policy, which seeks to balance its defense and energy needs with pragmatic diplomacy. India also emphasizes the need for a peaceful, negotiated solution to the conflict, positioning itself as a potential mediator in the crisis. Besides China and India, other Eastern countries are also adjusting their policies. Some nations in the region, like Japan and South Korea, have expressed concerns about regional stability and the economic implications. They are preparing for potential impacts on their economies and adjusting their security strategies in response to rising global tensions. Topic 3. The reaction of developing countries. While major powers shape the global response to Russia's invasion, developing countries are navigating a delicate situation. Many of these nations have significant economic ties with Russia, whether through energy imports or investments. As a result, their response to the conflict has been marked by a mix of caution and pragmatism. Many have opted to abstain from taking definitive stances, seeking to balance their commercial and political relationships with both sides. In addition, some developing countries have expressed concerns about the impact of Western sanctions on their economies. Imposing sanctions on Russia can have indirect effects, such as rising commodity prices and supply chain disruptions. These nations are facing additional economic and social challenges, and are trying to mitigate these impacts through negotiations and adjustments in their domestic policies. However, it's not just the economic impact that's concerning. There is also growing anxiety about security and regional stability. Russia's invasion has the potential to trigger a series of secondary crises, such as refugee flows and political instability, which could negatively affect developing nations. As a result, many of these countries are closely monitoring the situation and adjusting their policies accordingly, while trying to maintain a neutral stance to protect their own interests. Topic 4. The impact on international organizations. International organizations have played a critical role in responding to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The UN, for example, has been a major platform for debates and resolutions on the conflict. The UN Security Council has discussed, and in some cases, condemned Russia's actions, though it has faced challenges due to Russia's veto on critical issues. The General Assembly, on the other hand, has shown broader consensus by voting in favor of resolutions condemning the invasion and expressing support for Ukraine's sovereignty. NATO, meanwhile, has been central to the military and strategic response. The alliance has bolstered its defenses in Eastern Europe and intensified coordination among member states. The increased military presence in the region aims to deter potential escalations of the conflict and reassure allies closest to the front lines. NATO is also providing military aid and training to Ukrainian forces, demonstrating a strong commitment to regional security. Beyond these organizations, the African Union and other regional entities have also responded to the conflict. Although they don't have the same influence in global decision-making as the UN and NATO, these organizations are working to understand and respond to the conflict's implications for their own continents. The African Union, for example, is concerned about the impact of the conflict on food prices and food security in African countries that depend on agricultural exports from Russia and Ukraine. Topic 5. Future perspectives and long-term consequences. As the conflict continues to unfold, the future remains uncertain, filled with potential long-term consequences. The international landscape could be drastically altered, with possible shifts in the global balance of power. Russia's influence, for example, may be diminished due to sanctions and increasing international pressure, leading to a re-evaluation of its foreign and economic policies. On the other hand, the strengthening of Western alliances and the formation of new partnerships may emerge as responses to this new global reality. Additionally, the economic impact of the conflict may have lasting ramifications. Rising energy and commodity prices, along with supply chain disruptions, could significantly affect the global economy. Developing nations, already facing economic challenges, may feel the brunt of these effects, forcing them to adapt their economies and policies to cope with new market realities. Finally, the conflict may provoke changes in global security and defense dynamics. Lessons learned from the invasion could lead to increased militarization and greater international cooperation on security issues. Strengthening defenses, improving resilience, and promoting diplomacy will be crucial to managing the long-term repercussions of this conflict and preventing the escalation of future crises.